Welcome to A Drink and a Natter. I'm your host, Juicy Chef, and today I'm so excited to have my dear friend Sarah Jackson of Simply Jim Dandy. Yes, Simply Jim Dandy. Woo! And I get excited because Sarah is one of our mavericks of design, and she has such an interesting eye for art and fonts and just beautiful design. And we speak about design, you're a designer. A pet peeve of mine is when people talk about graphic artists and graphic designers. There's a huge difference. Could you break it down for our listeners and our viewers? What's the difference between graphic art? Not to say that there's nothing wrong with what a graphic artist does, but graphic design. You are so much more. You build brands. It's so much more dynamic. Could you just explain to us?
Well, what an introduction. Thank you, Jack.
You're welcome.
Hello, everyone. I can't say I have a formal definition to define or show the difference between both, but I always look at a graphic artist, or when people speak of graphic artists and look at what they produce, not bad at all, but they're more focused on, for me, they're more focused on the artistic aspect of it. It's more how they feel, the mood, versus design now is very strategic, it's grid-like, it's structured. Not that there's not play in there as well, but I find, especially coming home to Jamaica, a lot of people have said, oh my God, where have you been all my life? You actually meet deadlines. So when people say, oh, she's a graphic artist, I cringe. I'm like, no, I'm a graphic designer. I think that it's definitely in how you structure your work, how you structure your time. And art is light, it's fun, it's airy-fairy, but the design portion of it kind of pulls you back in and brings you home.
Because you're telling a story and you want to create lasting impressions to the designer. You're looking at the long term. You're beyond just a mere logo or
it's
something.
A lot more strategy.
Definitely
involved.
Strategy, right. And what I love about that, you talked about coming back home. And it's so interesting, like all my guests so far have been individuals who've been abroad and have come back to Jamaica to contribute to Jamaica.
Absolutely.
And what you've done, you've been back how many years now?
I've been back maybe 16 years.
Exactly. And 10 of those years, congratulations on the 10th year anniversary of Simply Jim Dandy.
It's been such a journey.
Amazing journey. And what I love about Simply Jim Dandy is that you almost, like your clients are almost creative. Okay. And I haven't drunk yet, guys. We haven't had our drink yet. A lot of your clientele, is just magnificent in terms of the diversity of your clientele, from small startups to established big corporate names. I love that because some agencies, and yours is a boutique agency, which I think makes it even more special, and just the wide range of your clientele. Tell me something. How are you one of those people that are like spirit led and you're driven by intuition? Like myself too, with my clients, for the work that I've done over the years, I go by a feeling for people versus the money. Are you like that as well?
Absolutely. And I think the longer you're in any field of study or practice, you know very quickly after a meeting, within the first 10, 15 minutes or shorter, is this somebody or a company I'd like to work with?
Okay. We're now living during a pandemic, from all reports, we're probably going to live with it for another year or two. How has your business changed? How have you, shifted around things? How have you, because of course, all your clients now will have to, pivot. Pivot is the word we're using a lot now because everybody's had to change up strategy, downsize in some instances. The consumer has different needs now. It's humbled us. Absolutely. And what kind of conversations are you having now with your clientele? What shift have you been seeing from pre-COVID to now? What are people doing and how does design help to convey that message that they're trying to bring across to their demographics?
That's a great question, Jax. First of all, let's just say the work from home aspect of the pandemic that we're all living in now has not shifted us or our working structure much. The beauty about what we do is we can work locally, globally, on a beach, in the mountains, at home, or in an office space. So we've not had too much shift. We've clearly done, especially in the early months, a lot of work from home. We're now back in office within our own little bubble. In terms of our clientele, we specialize in print design. But as you can imagine, with the lack of events now, a lot less people interaction, everything has kind of shifted. Our clientele has shifted more to a digital outlook. So everybody wants an online presence, or they need an online presence. So whether it's through email marketing or the social media channels, we're getting a lot more uptake from clientele. Also trying to find ways of those who capitalized on events. They're doing the lives and the virtual sessions. So you need teasers, you need flyers, you need everything to be posted at different intervals. So it's actually, we thought we'd have a pretty big hit in terms of, marketing is always the first department to get cut.
Yes.
However, we've had a pretty busy Q4. So we're very blessed, we're very thankful to all our clients for still trusting us and, helping them to come up with ways in which they can pivot the business and change and shift it a little bit to have more of an online presence than solely print.
And that's what I love again, being a designer, you providing solutions.
Have to.
Yeah, you have to, think on your feet, troubleshoot, okay, this is not working. What can we do quickly to fill that gap and everything? So when you travel, for example, as creative people, I know travel is my muse in terms of, how I style my plates, the colors, Mother Nature, a flower, a mountain, architecture even. I go to museums when I'm abroad to kind of get that inspiration. I like to look at the old masters, those still lives, and see how they plated, food, for example. As a designer, what's your inspiration? What's your muse or muses? How, because of course, as creators, lots of times we have more than one inspiration. What are some of the things, especially your travels, where Nyam and Trod, because I know you too enjoy travel a lot. What are some of the things that inspires you when you go abroad to keep fresh, to keep a step ahead of your competitors on the island?
The beauty is design is in it every day. I love going to coffee shops. So looking at menus, looking at environmental graphics, how they style their walls. You go to the train stations. You have the pin-ups in the bus shelters. You have the graffiti. Everything you look at is design. So whether it's fashion, even though I'm not a fashion designer by any stretch, how people dress across the different states I've traveled to, or my short stints in London, it's interesting. It's everywhere. I pick up things at train stations. Like I said, I pick them up. I go to the museums. I think that's one thing I miss having here at home. You don't have,
that level.
That level of just, and even just the ease of walking around and just looking at what's happening outside. So the restaurants, the menus, the packaging, the supermarket, they don't like going to the supermarket with me.
Yeah, and it's so funny you say that. My mum, used to say that, oh my God, Jackie, you look on every label.
Yes.
But again, like you said, it's inspiration, so I can kind of feel you. And of course, you're looking at it from a different eye. And I love that, creators, we definitely look at things from a special lens. It's like we have on these invisible glasses that zooms in, onto things, the little details.
Put me in the wine aisle. I'm by no means a specialist with wine, but I'll buy a bottle based on the label design. I think that's really interesting. Let's try that.
Right, and I love that. And you mentioned coffee shops earlier, and I know your big appreciation of coffee, and I think you would be a great ambassador for Jamaica's Blue Mountain coffee.
Really?
Yeah, because I've known you, you get the beans and how you ground the beans, you use our local cinnamon, you've always made, I actually prefer coming to you for a cup of sometimes. Sorry guys, I love all your coffee shops, I do, I frequent you all, but Sarah just makes a special cup of coffee, and as Nyammers and Trodders, it's a cup of coffee, and it's so funny because we're more of a tea culture on the island.
Absolutely.
From regular push tea to bush tea.
Exactly.
We're even though we grow some of the best coffee in the world, we're still a tea country, and it must have thrilled you to bits to see our cafe society growing.
Absolutely.
The coffee shop culture here now is
I don't think there is
amazing.
one coffee shop I've not been. Well, there is one.
Okay, yeah.
I've visited them all. I still love my special brew in the morning. I'm happy to share. I can't give it the ingredients because I know
right.
But it's definitely using all fresh ingredients. You have the ground coffee, absolutely. You have a bit of fresh cinnamon, and I have to do grated nutmeg.
Yes.
It can't be the powder. It has to be
freshly grated.
And of course, there's a lot of love in there. You know, no morning starts for me without my perfect cup of coffee.
I just love that. And then how do you compare, like, again, because we are a food and travel entity, and what countries are on your bucket list, and which countries do you think will inspire you some more in terms of both a personal aspect and a design aspect? What countries are you looking forward to travel in the future?
Well, I know we were planning to go to Thailand together.
Oh yes, guys, yes,
it's still on the list. Still up there. I've also heard as a designer I need to go to Barcelona.
Yes, I lived in Barcelona, and yes, definitely, it's a huge design city.
Yeah. London has a very special place in my heart. I've only ever been in the winter, and I've come back with pneumonia twice, but it didn't change
Our
it.
weather
It never changed it for me.
Yeah.
Some of the best Indian food, and I have a special affinity with. I love my Indian
Well,
food.
I think you need to go to India as well. The continent, and the beauty of India was a subcontinent. I've been briefly to the subcontinent of India. I definitely want to go back, and I do think you'll be inspired. Well, from the food alone to the use of spices. And listeners, if you hear some scream in the background, we're having a big giggle now. I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old niece and nephew, and they're quite cross that they can't come into my office with me and their Auntie Sarah right now. So, forgive us for the little background noise, but this is real life. It's the pandemic. As Sarah said, we're all working from home, and it just is what it is at the moment and everything. But going back, you recently also shared to me about your Montreal experience and how you were loving that cocktail scene. And this is a drink and a natter, and Sarah will tell you.
Absolutely.
You come to my house to get a drink.
And get a very good drink.
Right.
I have to say that Jackie has literally, as much as I love travel, I haven't been around the world a lot. Jackie has traveled extensively, but Jackie has been able to, through her food and her cocktails and just her warm personality of sharing stories, taken me across the world through my palate.
Thank you.
She really has. Some of the best food I've had has not been at a restaurant. It's been right here in Jackie's home. So I'm very blessed, and thank you for always including me.
Of course. And it's just like how I want our audience to know about you. Any of you out there listening or watching this podcast/vodcast, who want to be different, who want to stand out in terms of the image that you present to the world, Sarah is the person to go to in terms of developing your brands. If you want a fresh, minimalistic outlook that, will last throughout time, Sarah is the person. And especially as a woman in design, which traditionally, like most industries, was, male dominated in the past. And for you to be out there, not this big agency, but this boutique agency and it's not just local clients. Sarah, if you are listening or watching from abroad, she also has foreign clientele, just to show you the power of the talent in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, and that is why this podcast has meant so much to me, to show everybody the depth of talent we have in this country. We're often ignored for the bigger, cultures, because we're a small culture, but a very dynamic culture, a very powerful culture. And this is what Nyamantra is about, to show the sophisticated Caribbean lifestyle, And Sarah, what do you think post-COVID? Do you think in terms of design, in terms of just life in general, what would you like to see? Not necessarily what will happen, because we'll all talk the talk, and sometimes human beings will just revert back to their base nature sometimes. But what would you like to see? I know you have some changes on the horizon. You're gonna grow. Simply Jim Dandy is here to stay, yes. But I know you have some exciting plans coming up.
I do. I have a passion project working on. I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
Yes, please do.
But my project is called Lady Boss, and what I've found is over the years, my Instagram handle is also includes Lady Boss, but I find that there's so many talented females, regionally and globally, but right here at home that absolutely don't get the recognition that they need.
And deserve.
I flip the papers, I watch the news, the social media channels, and not to take anything away from these amazing women, but a lot of the same faces and names are featured consistently. And whether it's, the single mother who has many mouths to feed with little jobs that goes out every day and sells her plantain on the roadside. To me, that resilience and that strength of a woman,
Definitely.
she's an absolute lady boss. You know, you also have women who have startups. You have women who manage portfolios with millions of dollars, and they just don't get that recognition. So Lady Boss is hopefully a platform to showcase and highlight some of these women, connect them as well, you know, at the end of the day. Here's their handle, here's what they do, here's the corner that you can find them on.
Definitely.
And, you know, to support, you know, when females support other females, I think it's a wonderful thing. And it's not with an air of, you know, feminism or I am the one here below.
Right.
We still love our men, we still we're thankful for those who do support us. But definitely that's what the Lady Boss Project is all about.
I'm so excited about Lady Boss, you know. So on that high note, you know, Sarah, you know, I have to fix you a drink.
Absolutely.
And Sarah loves her rum.
I do.
Thanks to my friends at Select Brands who have provided me with this lovely Jamaica, which is Jamaica's Taino name, indigenous name, the land of wood and water. So we have the Jamaica Special Dark Rum, which is Jamaican rum from Pot Stills. And we also have Angostura bitters from our sister island of Trinidad and Tobago. Also from my personal stock, I've got orange bitters. Every time I go abroad, I bring back something, and some good old classic martini sweet Italian vermouth. So thank you to Select Brands for providing me with this, plus my pantry. And Sarah, you have a special connection for Select Brands, right?
They're also my friends.
Yes,
they're a
lovely.
very good client of mine, and they're an absolute joy to work with.
Yeah, they are amazing people at Select.
They've done some great stuff as well in the pandemic, trying to also shift their business and see other ways in which they can keep afloat, you know, and they've been wonderful. So.
I love their box specials, like their wine specials and all these other specials. It's really, really good, you know. So thank you, Select Brands, for being so kind and providing these products for me to have my podcast, a drink and a natter. And on that note, Sarah, I'm going to fix you this Manhattan. So it's like I said, you know, some people say, what's the difference between a Manhattan and an old-fashioned? An old-fashioned is bourbon and bourbon based with bitters and a simple syrup, usually an orange twist. A Manhattan, on the other hand, normally has a cherry. It's COVID, guys. I've run out of cherries. I don't have any cherries. I'm using my dehydrated orange garnish, and we're doing it rum based. So it's a rum Manhattan versus whiskey. And the difference with the Manhattan is that they use sweet vermouth versus a sweet syrup. And of course, we have the bitters. Classically, it's Angostura. I mixed up both the Angostura and the orange for you. Sarah loves her rum. Outside of coffee, I should have mentioned she's a rum rum girl. That's a rum head. I was gonna say, no, girl, I'm not gonna shame you. We're in my office. Sorry, couldn't do that. And the ice has begun to melt, even though we're in the AC room. But it's okay. It's the middle of the work day, so I might dilute it a bit. But typically, if I had a sink in here, I would just drip out. But we've got those nice big cube of sexy ice, and I don't know what's going on. But even my cocktail the other day, when I do my cocktail videos, the ice just was not cooperating. But anyway,
it's been warm.
Right. So the trick is usually start with your bitters. All right. So we're going to do a couple dashes of bitters. 1, 2. 1, 2. All right. So, and this just takes drinks up a notch.
What's that, Jen?
So this is orange bitters, and this is Angostura. So the world of bitters have changed. You know, classically it was like Peychaud bitters, Angostura bitters. Now you're seeing orange bitters, cocoa bitters, all sorts of bitters. I mean, the key to a good cocktail is a balance of flavors. You want a little tang, a little sweet, you want a little sweet, but you want everything to blend properly. So we have the good old rum here. So we're going to do 2 ounces in American terms. In European terms, we're metric. So that's 60 milliliters. So that's like, you know, basically like almost like 2 shots, basically, of rum per glass. Yeah, we pour. Usually I have a heavy hand. And as you can see, my hand's kind of heavy, yeah.
We love it for it, Jack.
Yeah, we love a heavy hand. I mean, it's the end of the work day, so we deserve a drink, don't we? We've had long days. And then afterwards, I'm going to do the sweet vermouth. So again, the sweet vermouth again is wine based, and it's just lovely. You could drink it on its own. It's lovely. Woo! Okay, the heavy hand. We love it with tonic as well. I like a vermouth with tonic. It's great in a spritz as well. I just love it. And in vermouth, you have sweet and dry. In this case, we're using the dry. Now, forgive me, Sarah, but I forgot the stir. So normally we're gonna use our fingers, do it Jamaican style, and put our little We're gonna do it Jamaican style and put our fingers in. All right, so you could just do a little twirl like a wine glass. It's not a wine glass, guys. They said these two stitch girls.
Pardon me, I'm gonna use
yeah, so we're gonna do the Jamaican way. Our hand we sanitized before this. We did everything. It's just going in our mouth. So cheers, and thank you for joining us on Yam and Trod for a drink of Natter with me. And cheers.
This is lovely.
It's nice, eh?
Yeah.
It's nice
I
and
like
smooth.
it. Very smooth.
Yeah, very smooth.
And all the flavors coming off with it.
And sometimes less is more.
Absolutely.
Less is more. And then as this drink goes down, the ice dilutes, the orange garnish permeates and infuses that even more. It's going to have a nice little hint of citrus. So cheers and thank you. So guys, thanks again for joining me, Jackie, aka Juicy Chef of Nyam and Trod, for a Drink and a Natter podcast. And I'll see you next time with another interesting, amazing guest out of my friend circle. Take care and see you then. Cheers. Bye.
Yay.